Peace and love, everybody. Salute. Salute, you guys. I hope everybody, of course, is doing well. I definitely had to come by and give my final review of the fights that commenced over the weekend. I know I'm an additional day removed from the fights on Saturday, but I really felt like I needed an extra day to process everything that I witnessed on Saturday from all the beautiful fighters on the Crawford Madrimov card. Real talk, you guys, I'm still quite moved by what I saw. Some riveting performances, very thrilling moments in particular fights. We had some crazy upsets. It was a lot to take in. And I don't know if it's just me, but the fact that the fight card was so dynamic, I kind of feel a bit frazzled, you guys. I don't know what it is about this card that has me kind of in a whirlwind of feelings, in a whirlwind of perspectives. You guys, something about this card had me overwhelmed. I don't know if it's just me that feels like that, but God damn, what a fight card that was. There is so much to say about this particular card, so much to cover, so many takes and angles. I almost feel that I will not be able to cover them all. In fact, I know that I will not be able to cover all of the subtleties that I picked up regarding each of the main fights. This was, for me, the most nuanced fight matchups of the year. This was the most nuanced fight card of the year for me so far. Wow. That's all I could really say. What a night of boxing we were in for on Saturday, you guys. Even though it's definitely very intricate, these certain aspects and all of the details that I picked up and all the points that I have, I definitely don't want to be long-winded because I know we all have lives and you guys are not trying to sit here in one place hearing me talk for 3 days straight, nonstop, no break, no vacation. I'm sure you all have things to do just as much as I do. So let's start here. First fight for me, David Morel Jr., okay? The young King David went in and he got his W, okay, in his debut fight at 175, as we know. He snatched his belt and he walked out with all of the assurance that he can get the job done in the light heavyweight division, okay? Now, Morel's fight against Ciddic was a very interesting fight, and I'm sure that many of you would agree. Morel maintained pretty much a good level of dominance throughout the fight. I can say that, okay? That's one thing that was consistent, was that he was just all over. Like his energy, what his goal was, what he wanted to establish was on full display, right? However, I do feel like he made the fight a bit more rigorous than he needed to. He was really good at making Ciddic respond to his pace, okay? But he also seemed too hungry for the big shot, okay? The man was headhunting all night, literally nonstop, you guys. And I'm like, David, relax, King, relax. What's going on here? He made no bones about what he wanted to do, how he wanted to go about doing it or anything. Morel just went for the kill all night. And what's crazy is that he is a skilled fighter, but for whatever reason, he did not display his athleticism. And I was very much, in question about that. It was a little bit annoying watching him just go in head first. I didn't understand why he wasn't pacing himself. He charged forward and he remained on his front foot pretty much the entire time. We didn't see any slickness. We didn't see any boxing. David Morel barely used a jab. I was definitely confused about why he was overly aggressive in the way that he was. I don't know if he was just dead set on having an impressive performance or what the case may have been, but that's the direction that he chose to go in. And interestingly enough, I do not remember Ronnie Shields in his corner giving him any direction, reminding him that it's a marathon, not a sprint. So I don't know what was going on from the corner, and it was just confused about why David chose to be so forward. Nonetheless, David definitely landed some beautifully vicious shots, in my opinion. He was most certainly the aggressor, hands down. There's no doubt about who was the aggressor in that fight. However, because he opted for a one-dimensional approach, Ciddic found his own successes. Okay, he was very defensive. He moved his head really well, all while being on the ropes at times. He still, managed to evade. He didn't evade everything, but he was really good with his movement. He stayed on his toes, Ciddic. And in pocket moments, Ciddic landed a few significant shots of his own. Okay, which possibly and most likely would not have been the case had David Morel stuck more to his boxing, okay? But because he was so wild, he got caught with some shots while he was coming in, okay? Ciddic was definitely successful with countering at several moments in that fight that I noticed. He was composed, even while being bombarded, as I mentioned, by Morel, and he just stuck to his movement to the best of his ability. I definitely don't see a reason why, David's game plan was as it was, because if he was really dead set on getting the knockout, as he obviously was attempting to do, all he really needed to do was box more. Okay, set up his shots, use his jab. Okay, switch it up, throw some combinations. He could have definitely reached the goal of the KO that he was looking for with some patience. But yeah, all in all, I think David had the more devastating punches in the fight, and he applied the most punishment. And for that, he got the W. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what his next moves are. Interestingly enough, you guys, both he and David's debut performances at 175 were ironically eyebrow raising. Right or no? Right or no, y'all? What's going on here? They both had questionable performances. What's going on? Bringing in a whole bunch of questions about their capacity in the division and whatnot. That's very interesting, you guys. And it makes me wonder what it means for them at 175. I think a bunch of people are thinking that right now. Are they 1 foot in, 1 foot out of the division? If they were to meet, would it be better for them to go back down to 168 instead of remaining at 175? Lots of questions. Lots of questions indeed for those two men. But we'll get there when we get there, he and the Mexican monster Benavidez. But for now, salute to David Morel for the victory. Definitely tougher than I anticipated it being, but he got in there kicking and screaming, and he came out with the W. So I guess that's all that matters in the end. Salute to David Morel. Now, you guys... Big Baby Miller and Andy Ruiz. First of all, to me, Big Baby Miller, hands down, won this fight, you guys. What the hell? This fight should not have ever been anything close to a draw, in my opinion. Okay, even though I found Ruiz to be, doing what he does best in the earlier rounds. I think that from around 4 and on, Big Baby was the one that had the most effectiveness, okay? He let them hands go, baby, okay? And not only did he do that, but he paced himself really well and probably better than I've seen of him in a very, very long time, okay? He dealt with the pressure of Andy really well as the rounds progressed. And it seemed that Big Baby was the one picking up stamina, unveiling more skill, more adaptability as the rounds went on, as opposed to Andy, who started out strongly and ultimately seemed to me to wither towards the end of the fight. It was very interesting dynamic. And I don't know if you guys remember in the previous breakdown video that I spoke about the game plan between two of them, how they view each other. And it was definitely on display what Big Baby and Team Ennis had in mind for their game plan. And they executed it really, really well, you guys. They were prepared, and Big Baby showed up and showed out, in my opinion. I was thoroughly impressed. He had some beautiful combinations that he exhibited, Big Baby Miller. It was wonderful to watch him. Such a big man, let his hands go, even though he was tired towards the latter rounds. He kept up his pace really, really well. He controlled Andy very well to me. Andy seemed to have gotten gassed by 5 or 6 or so. That stamina gave right on out on Andy Ruiz. Okay, he was a huffing and a puffing. That mouth was open. He's taking in big breaths. Well, chow. That's also something I pointed out in my breakdown. It was going to be a matter of stamina between those two men. Okay, especially Andy being inactive for so long. The adaptability was definitely going to be in question upon his entering the ring. Is definitely a question that I had. He definitely still posed a danger to Big Baby Miller throughout the rounds. There's no doubt, because as we know, Andy is very skilled. But his energy just dwindled substantially as that fight pushed forward. And it took its toll, and Big Baby took advantage of it in the right moments. He was very, very active. I loved his participation. I loved the way he let his hands go, y'all. It was driving me crazy. I was like, yes, Big Baby. Even though, like I said, he was tiring as well, he was not tiring so much to the degree that his activity was affected by it, because he kept the punch output going. He kept the pace going, which was wonderful to see. I also like how he kept Andy Ruiz submissive with the jab and his movement, his foot movement. I was like, yeah, I don't know, you guys. I wasn't expecting to see that. Now, I know Big Baby is a good fighter, but I was super, super impressed. I think he did 10 times better here with Andy Ruiz than he did against Dubois. I was so impressed, you guys, massively impressed with what I saw. It was definitely apparent that, all the work that he's been getting in Philly with the Ennis family is definitely effective for him. He's taken to it strongly, and he looks 100% inspired. There's a flame in Big Baby, which is wonderful to see. I saw some post-fight interviews with him, even though he was massively disappointed about the decision. I saw that fire all over him. It was evident that his flame was lit, and he's ready to get back in the gym and continue working to get better and to progress on to higher levels and to achieve even further solidification with the Ennis team and all that they've been showing him. I'm super, super, super ecstatic to see what the future holds for him and that partnership with the Bozy family, because it was working. Whatever it is that they got him doing is working. I look forward to see what he has in store, Big Baby Miller. Hopefully he's not taking the draw decision too hard. I don't know if he and Andy are going to run it back. But I know that they were, mentioning that. I believe Andy may have, mentioned that he wanted the rematch. I don't know. That man was out the ring for 2 years, and we all know that is no amount of time for any professional boxer to be out of the ring. He's bugging with that. But yes, I definitely congratulate the king, Big Baby Miller. Wonderful performance, excellent performance. I was definitely thoroughly impressed. Now, what do I have next? Rayo versus Pitbull, you guys. Just as I expected, okay? Rayo went in there and he snatched the W. I knew that he could do it. I favored Rayo to win, okay? Because as I said in the breakdown video, he is the more skilled fighter, okay? Pitbull Cruz is not as skilled as Rayo. He's just not. Okay, so I expected Rayo to go in there and do exactly what he ended up doing. Okay, that man went in there and he did what? He boxed. Okay, Rayo boxed. That's what got him his victory. He was not in there charging forward like some damn matador, blinded No, he went in there and he showed his fundamentals. He stayed on his feet. He kept out that jab. You know what I'm saying? He traded with Pitbull at certain moments, but he maintained the distance at the same time, kept him at a range that he was comfortable with. It was excellent. Excellent work from Rayo and his team. He did not placate Cruz by succumbing to his whims. Okay, Cruz likes to be the one to set the tone. He wants you to fight on his terms and at his pace. Rayo was not about that. He was not having that. He didn't allow himself to be swept into trading senselessly or, into making it an all-out brawl fest or something like that. No, not at all. Okay, he worked on his feet. He touched him up with his jab. He maintained Pitbull, as I said, at a distance where it counted, and he traded where it counted. That's what you call boxing smart. That's exactly what you call boxing smart, you guys. I was impressed. As I said in the breakdown video, Pitbull did not ever showcase to me where he was fundamentally sound as a fighter. Okay, he's myopic. Okay, he's got one setting and he relies on that one setting always, all the time. Okay, and he throws the same goddamn punch nonstop over and over again. Predictability. Okay, predictability. That's what he exhibits. He doesn't have a jab. Okay, Pitbull has no feet. And so it was only a matter of time before he was going to be once again completely exposed again by someone else, because Tank already exposed what boxing can do. And Tank had one hand while doing it. So I already knew that it was a go for Rayo if he played the game smart, that he would be able to also capitalize on boxing against Pitbull. Rayo and his team executed a really good game plan, and they nullified quite effectively Pitbull's output and that predictability. Okay. Also, the use of that uppercut in this fight was wonderful for Rayo. Okay. He didn't see it coming at all. He got caught with that thing each and every time. It was wonderful to see Rayo place his shot so well. I was definitely glad to see Rayo, take advantage of those fundamentals, because they are important, you guys. I know that this current landscape wants to convince people otherwise, but the fundamentals are to be used. They are not to be bypassed. That's what they are for. Okay? People are swindled into this notion, this silly notion, that a charging forward matador bull rushing in style is the way to go. It is not. I don't care how you slice it or dice it. It is never the way to go. It's just not. Not when you are facing elite opponents who have a plethora of tools in their bag. You cannot be one-dimensional. When you are stepping in front of people who are, experienced in all types of levels, you have to have a bag full of different tools that you can use to get the job done when necessary as a fighter. You just have to do that. People are confusing aggression and output for limited ability. How the fuck did the two get misconstrued? No, just because you're aggressive does not mean that you have a lot of tools in your bag, and it does not mean that you will be successful in executing what you need to execute, depending upon what style you meet. Because as a fighter, you will come across many styles, many shades, different energies of all sorts. And any smart fighter, any real warrior knows that. And that's why they sharpen up on their skills. And that's why they never leave the house without their fundamentals. Okay? So shout out to Rayo for a wonderful win. Shout out to his team. He looks super happy to win that. He credited his win to his family, his mother and father. It was wonderful to see that. And I'm glad that he showed up to the fight with a real game plan, with a real fight style, which is boxing style. Congrats to El Rayo. Okay. Now, next up, we have, oh my God, y'all. Next up, you guys, what the hell did I tell y'all? Jared Anderson versus that goddamn Martin Bakole from the Congo. What? What the hell did I say, you guys? Yo, I just knew it in my soul. I knew it in my spirit, okay, that Martin was going to be a big problem, okay? His energy before I even watched his fights, because I had not previously seen his fights. I had previously not known him as a fighter. But when I saw that damn man's energy at that grand arrival presser and at the particular moment where they faced off, that energy that he had told me everything that I needed to know, you guys. Energy speaks very loudly to me, and I picked up on it immediately. Okay, I knew who he was. There was no question about that. Okay, I can just read these types of things. I'm very intuitive like that. I went and watched that man's fights after the grand arrival presser. I was so taken by that energy, impressed by it. And when I got to watching his fights, I was like, okay, no, this man is an absolute animal. And I'm confirmed in everything that I was feeling. You guys, I told you guys that for me, based off of that energy that I received, that this fight was going to be one of them ones. This fight stood to be fight of the night. And my intuition was absolutely correct, you guys. What? Y'all, this fight was, astonishing. An astonishing fight, you guys. I was amazed, as I'm sure all of you were. Bakole got Jared out of there in the 5th round? Oh, child. I was like, oh my goodness. Now, Jared had all of the intention in the world. Okay? He had all of the intention in the world to invoke his dominance and to assert his will. Okay? That's what he came in there with the intention to do against Martin. He had every intention to make his mark and to somehow show Martin that he is to be respected. Okay, he is to be respected. However, you guys, Bakole had already warned the public that Jared is no match for him. He had already told us that he is the one that is a machine and that he came to work. Bakole did everything except respect Jared Anderson. He beat that young man all about that ring, all upside the head, and it was just pure punishment, literally from beginning to end. And there was absolutely nothing that Jared Anderson could do about it. I think for me, that's really what made it cringe, is that there was just absolutely nothing that he could do, nothing within his skill set, within his tool bag that he can pull from and use that could save him. That's the part that was cringe for me, was that he had no available resources to save him from the bludgeoning that he was receiving, you guys. Oh, my goodness. All he could really try to do was find some heart that could keep him on his feet and keep him fighting back somehow, some way. But that's all that was there. It wasn't effective, but he somehow found the will within him to at least try to throw something, to try to respond back with something, all at the same time while trying to diminish and limit the punishment that he was receiving, you guys. It was so hard to watch. I can't even front. The way that man's head was snapping back. Oh, it was wild watching that. I ain't even gonna lie, y'all. Bakole looked like that man's father. Jared looked like a boy in his presence in that ring, you guys. It was absolutely a grown man versus an adolescent. That's what was evinced to me. Martin Bakole was 10 times more powerful. Okay, he was 10 times more vicious, 10 times more committed, 10 times more grounded. It was insanity. Jared was simply no match for him. Okay, I said in my breakdown video that this would be the test for Jared to see if he is indeed able to stand among the elite in the heavyweight division. And to some degree that was correct. But at this moment, I now believe that it was much too soon for Jared to be thrown in there with somebody the caliber of Martin Bakole. That type of skill, that type of ferocity should only be met and challenged when one has been fully battle tested in the fire. You should not face the likes of a man like that with so little experience. And that is what Jared is next to that man. He is ill experienced next to Martin Bakole. Jared has faced no fire. He has been in no wars relative to that of the experience that he would need to face the likes of Martin. It was absolutely evident. The levels between them were impossible to deny. Okay? The gap of experience between them, it was impossible to negate. It was absolutely crystallized. It was overt and completely tangible for the world to see. Okay, so that no questions were had, no doubts were had. Nobody could have any doubts in their mind. That's how clear it was, the difference between the two. Jared had long been, dealing with some personal issues, and I know that's a very interesting matter at hand as well. Along with, I'm sure most of you who have been in tune with his journey for some time now, we had some questions that we posed about his dedication and overall love for the sport because of the myriad things that he shared publicly in his statements. The breakdown that he had on the interview with Roy Jones and all of that. And so many different factors are at hand that point to him being emotionally unstable. I hope that he reassesses. I know that he just had a baby. I hope that he reassesses himself. I don't know what his future is in the sport, but I definitely do believe that he needs to come back without the childish air that he had previously. I think he needs some maturing. I think he needs some better support around him. If he isn't getting enough of that, he definitely needs better coaching, because what the fuck was happening in his corner? He was kind of just left stranded. So lots of revisions need to take place with him. A lot of analysis on his emotional front, his personal front, and the like. But, salute to him. I hope that he recovers well. And I hope that he takes his time off and uses it, for really digging deep and finding out if this is something that he is serious about dedicating his life to. Because, of course, many sacrifices are necessary in this particular game, as I'm sure that he knows. And it's probably a lot of what his confrontation was about on a personal front, was that he was not maybe ready to make those sacrifices. And that's why we saw him lash out in the ways that he has via his behavior, via the antics and all this, that, and the third. But it's a tough position, and he's so young. I believe he's only 24 years old. So a lot of questions that he needs to sit down with and answer for himself. But all in all, you guys, wonderful display from Martin Bakole. Salute. I cannot wait to see what's next for that man. What? I hear talks of, him versus Big Bang Zhang. That's going to be an excellent fight. Would love to see that. I heard him mention that he, may want to fight, Fury or Usyk or the winner of the Joshua Dubois. Let's motherfucking go, Bakole. Claim your space. I love it. Masculine, powerful, and here to handle business. I love Martin Bakole. He definitely has a fan in me. Salute and congratulations to the king. Now, lastly, of course, we have, drum roll please, the main event of the evening, okay? And that was Terence Crawford versus Israil Madrimov. I know there's a lot of conversation, a lot of discussion going on, about the performance. But to me, I watched the fight and I went back and I watched the fight again. Bud definitely got the victory. Okay. He went in there and he got his victory. He did what he does. Okay. He executed patience. He showed some beautiful counter work. He boxed well, of course. He asserted his presence effectively. And he did what we are used to seeing to much of the, to the overall degree. Now, that doesn't mean that the fight went without its surprises. Okay. And I think a lot of the element of surprise came from the part of Madrimov. Okay. Madrimov added the element of surprise to the occasion. I mentioned in the breakdown video that Madrimov, to me, was a fighter that really likes his ability to dominate. Okay, he likes that posture in the ring. I called it him being trigger happy. Okay, he enjoys setting the pace. He likes to lead. He likes to take off the plate of his opponents with that type of aggression. Now, he definitely showed a bit of that in this fight. Okay, we saw his moments of aggression. However, what I found to be the surprising aspect and element was that he didn't throw his aggression around in the same way in this particular fight. Okay, he didn't throw his aggression in Bud's face. What he did was curtail the aggression, and he disguised it. He dressed it up in a different costume. Okay, Madrimov opted for mystery instead of the big bang, instead of the spectacle, so to speak. Okay, Madrimov in this fight was full of feints, you guys, from start to finish. He feinted with his head, he feinted with his hands, and he feinted with his feet. Okay, he just wanted to give the illusion as much as he could that he was going to dive in. Okay, that he was going to do something, but it was immediately retracted, of course, as feints do, right? Okay, he was like, he reminded me of a peacock, right? Full of show and spectacle. He wanted to give you a show, a spectacle about what you would assume he was going to do, but he retracted from it immediately. And I think that kept Bud having to re-download information. Okay, so whatever move he thought he was going to make, because he retracted immediately and so often, Bud then had to download and process for, let's say, another 2 or 3 minutes to gauge what the rhythm and what the pattern was going to be for Madrimov, which was interesting. That's an interesting take. I can't say that I've seen anybody posture in front of Bud in that way, and I think that's why a lot of people may have felt that he was probably more effective than he was. He didn't want Bud to know from where he was coming. Okay. And I think this kept Bud at bay, in a way that many of us haven't seen or many of us aren't used to. Bud is used to seeing his opponents. Of course, he is used to watching his opponents intently for their rhythm. Okay. And once he finds the pattern, his opponent is no longer an opponent. Once he finds a pattern, his opponent is converted instantly into a victim. As soon as he figures you out, you are not an opponent, you become a victim. And I think it was a good game plan for Madrimov to play on that, because we all know how dynamic Bud is, how voracious he is about intel and information and computing all of that information so that he can capitalize against his opponent. However, because Madrimov was so jittery, he was wired and full of escalations and de-escalations and contractions and reactions. Bud had to make way more calculations than we are used to seeing him make, I guess, in real time. But yeah, at the same time, we all also know that Bud is a very slow starter. So it was a weird little thing. And I think Bud admitted to that in the post presser as well, that he had to get used to the constant movement from Madrimov. Very interesting fight. I liked the fight. I know that some people had some complaints about the performance in Real Talk. In watching it as it was happening live, it was some questions for me. But upon review and going back and watching it again, I enjoyed the fight. I like chess matches. I really do. I like the process of figuring things out and watching how you're going to break this down and seeing how you handle challenges and difficulty as they unfold before you. So I enjoyed the bit of back and forth and the time that it took for Bud to figure it out. And I enjoyed Madrimov, playing a card game in front of him, 3-card Monty with his movements. He got to figure out, is it in this hand or is it in this hand? Boop, nope, it's a straight hand. That shit was lit to me. I think that under the guise of those feints and those weird movements, allowed him to land some shots on Bud that one wouldn't think would be possible, right? Especially the motherfucking straight right. That was his greatest, most effective weapon all night. I think he hit Bud with 3 of them shits in a row at a particular point, the same motherfucking straight hand. And Bud didn't see it. It was wild. It was really wild. Bud, for some reason, could not deflect from it. And what was awkward was that he decided to remain in southpaw stance. And I think that if he would have switched to orthodox, he would have, evaded all the eye swelling that he wound up getting from that straight right. Very, very interesting. What I also liked was that Madrimov, even though I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with, but he said that I believe Crawford was a fighter that he really admires stylistically. But in the fight, he showed no respect for Bud. I appreciate that. I like the warriorship. We are not here to play games, okay? No respect should be had in that ring. And I like that he removed all of the, the bells and whistles and said, it's time to work. Motherfucker, I'm here to take your head off. Okay. And he postured as if he was there to do just that, as one should, and as Bud was expected to do as well. And he definitely did. But overall, to me, you guys, Bud was the more severe of the two as far as punch selection, as far as punch placement and effectiveness. It was a close fight, and I see the engagement of where people, can really stick into it and say, oh, well, the 11th and 12th rounds were the deciding factor. Everything else was kind of up in the air. But for me, I feel that Bud did enough to be considered the winner. Bud's body work was, what the hell? Absolutely phenomenal. Did you see that man's body work? That man was going to town at particular moments on Madrimov's body. Wonderful body work. He looked like Hearns at certain moments, the way he was sticking his body shots. It was wonderful. His jab was beautiful to me, of course. I like what when Bud uses his jab. He just had a lot more to work with, in my opinion. I didn't see a consistent jab or any jab, real talk, from Madrimov. I didn't see him set up his shots with any jab work. His feints ruled his performance. The element of surprise is what he worked with and used to his advantage. But, I didn't see anything else. I like the way that he made Bud think. I like that straight right. You know what I'm saying? I like the pressure that he applied in the moments that he applied it. However, Bud just showcased a better display. He has more experience. He didn't rely just on one particular thing. He threw his hands, he boxed smart, and he took his time to unlock the puzzle bit by bit as the rounds went on. Madrimov is definitely a really powerful puncher, and Bud stayed composed. He didn't really allow himself to get flustered by that output, and the use of his jab allowed him to adapt to, returning his own power and setting up his shots properly to give just as much devastating punishment. Honestly, for me, you guys, I think that's the best fight I've seen of Crawford since the Sean Porter fight. I really like that Porter fight. Of course, before it all went to hell for Porter. But in the earlier half of the fight, I thought it was a wonderful chess match between them and the exchange. And Sean Porter was really effective, at placating Bud's venom. And I liked. I don't know. I think I just like the way Bud adapts with challenges. I like the way he adapts to his setting. And I like the process of him finding out and figuring out what he has to do. And I thought that he did a really good job against Madrimov, who was a completely different style than I've seen him fight previously, and who was coming in with some power, who was naturally at the 54-pound division. Of course, Bud moved up. It was interesting to see, if Bud's power would translate. Now, to that question, I can't say completely what I think about it because I would like to see Bud at 54 again in a fight. I think that, like I said, he was effective and he had the most effective output as far as his punches. But I'd like to see more of him at 54 to really calculate. I mean, I guess I could say yes, because Madrimov's face looked like he done got ran over by a car. So yes, the power would translate it properly. But I'm also taking into consideration the fact that Bud was, laid off for a whole year. You know what I'm saying? So I think to see him, partake in another fight at not too long of a distance apart from this one would really give me a better seat and a position for judgment. But yes, wonderful, wonderful fight. I enjoyed the fight very much. And honestly, I'm wondering what's next for Bud Crawford. I know that there are still, rumblings going around. Oh, my God. I even hate to mention it, y'all. But, I know that there's still the talk going on up and down about him facing Canelo. And, in his interview in the ring right after the fight, he was asked something to the degree of, if that's the fight that he wants and, does he want Canelo? And he said, basically in the meantime, he's going to relax with his family. And he also knows that Canelo has a fight to focus on. But it's definitely, basically he said, yes, pretty much that is a fight that he would want and a good pay, something to the degree. I never asked for Bud and Canelo. That's never a fight that I asked for. I think it's silly. I think it's pointless. And to be quite honest, I really do think it's only for payday. And he made no bones about it that, it's a good payday for him. It's a spectacle. I'm not interested in spectacle in boxing. I am interested in legacy performances, legendary bouts, and a beautiful display of warriorship. That's what I sign up for as a boxing fan. I don't give a fuck about a spectacle. I don't care about the, the flash and the, oh, look at this, the namesake. I don't care. I want to see two beautiful warriors go to work. Okay? I like that. I don't care about, the show or just saying you did it to do it. It's not of interest to me. I don't see where this fight between Bud and Canelo will mean anything past, say, 5 years from now. So let's say it's something that does happen next year. I don't think in the next 5 years, let alone 10, 20 years, it's going to mean a motherfucking thing, if I'm being honest. To me, it's a hollow attempt. It's not of substance to me. I'd much rather see Crawford fight Jamel goddamn Charlo. I'd much rather see him fight the rematch with Earl Spence. I'd much rather him fight, Fondora, Tim Tszyu. You know what I mean? For that matter. I don't want to see no goddamn Canelo. I don't know, y'all. I'm just not interested in it. And Crawford, I think, was asked again. Yes, he was. He certainly was. Crawford was asked during the post-fight presser, not in the ring, but when they were actually at the press conference after the fight. He was asked about Earl Spence. And y'all, did y'all see what that man's response was and how he responded to the question? It was the final question of the post presser. And he was asked something to the effect of, will he ever fight EJ in a rematch? And in a very short, spiteful, irascible tone, Bud responded, no, nah, and walked the fuck out of the goddamn presser. What the fuck was that about, y'all? Did y'all see that? Why is he so coarse? Why does he get so, testy and staunch about anything concerning EJ when he is asked a question? I really don't understand it, you guys. Is it because, he knows that the boxing world, even though they tirelessly berated and tried to smite and belittle Earl, after that fight, is it because that he really knows deep down, the public wants to see the rematch because there were so many questions left unanswered about that fight? Is this why he has become irritated and dismissive of questions relating to a rematch with EJ? Bud knows goddamn well that in the back of everybody's mind, people have questions, even the people that fuck with him heavy. I know that they do. Okay? The Bud buddies, I know that they do. Because they do the same thing. They pull the same move and try to bypass the question of EJ just the same way. It's very curious to me. I don't understand it. People have genuine queries, and he wants nothing to do with them asking these queries that they have. Okay? And with the performance, real talk, that he had against Madrimov, it brought up even more questions about the Spence fight. Because Madrimov, a man of only 10 professional fights, even regardless of his extensive amateur career, was able to stand there toe-to-toe with a 40-0 bud. That cannot be overlooked or bypassed. It's a reality. A 10-0 motherfucker went the distance with you for the first distance fight you ever had in the past goddamn 10 years. So, of course, new questions are going to come up regarding Errol Spence. I think Bud is refusing the idea, for whatever reason, that he needs to prove himself. I think that he feels as if he's already made his statement with the Errol Spence win. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that. It's definitely understandable because you beat the man, right? However, one cannot act as if all of the contributing factors surrounding EJ's state of well-being were not present. You can't bypass that these things were not present during the fight last July. My question is, why wouldn't you want to show and prove who you are as the number one pound for pound? Yeah, you got the seat, but this is the fight game. What I don't like is that he's taking the position, that he wants the boxing community to, corral him, to kind of bow down. He wants to be accredited. He wants to be pedestalized and acknowledged, which I don't know any real boxing fan who would have, an issue, who would take issue with giving him such reverence because he is great. But at the same time, you have to prove to us who you are, sir, not just one time, but for as long as you're an active fighter. And so long as EJ is still, on the rankings, you're going to have to face him, especially if he's starting to collect straps at 54, which he definitely intends to by the end of the year at some point. You're going to have to face him, especially if you are on a mission for undisputed. If you are, I don't know if that's why you're trying to haul ass to 168 and fight Canelo so that you can bypass some smoke. I don't know what's going on with that. But certainly if you intend to collect some straps, as you've begun to already at the 154-pound division, you're going to have to beat EJ again, motherfucker. That's just how it's going to go. Like, you just can't bypass him, if I'm being completely honest. You do not have the biggest victory of your life and then forget about the cause. If you got to beat him again to show and prove, you got to beat him again to show and prove. Especially if there was so, much controversy and uncertainty and skepticism and observation lingering around that fight. No, as a warrior, that's what you do. You put the queries to rest, if there are any. What are you dodging? Why are you so irascible? Why are you irritated? Why are you coming undone every single time EJ's name is brought up? Is it because you still have something to prove? You know that? Is that why you get irritated? Not because the world knows it, but because you know it. You know that there is a healthy Spence walking around here, or at least much healthier than he was last year. You did not put him to rest. You did not take his head. You took his crown. You did not take EJ's head. Okay? One could easily assume that it was because all of the factors that EJ was dealing with behind the surface that, were the cause of how he looked on the night of your fight. Do you really want to leave those questions up in the air? I think not. Whether it is true that he was dealing with an injury or, of several layers, the rib injury, the eye injury, the car accident, whether these things are true or not, they are on the table and they pose to threaten your effectiveness as a warrior. Why would you want to let that linger? Why would you want that in question? Don't you want you to be the one who defeated him? Not his alleged rib injury, not his eye problems, not any of the other previous factors? Do you want his car accident to be the one that take his head and take his crown and take his heart? Or do you want it to be you? Come on, son. If you're going to zip him up, zip him all the way up. Leave no doubts, no questions, nothing. I don't know about y'all, but that's how I come as a fight fan. I anticipate seeing the job being finished. And if it's to be, his demise, let it be his demise. You know what I'm saying? That's what happens in war. It's to be expected. It's to be expected. If you are the better man, you are the better man. But the questions cannot stand. That's where I take the issue with Bud, and him being so dismissive and petty, every time EJ is brought up. EJ should be food too. Why is he not on your plate? Canelo, you got all this food running around you plentifully, abundantly, and you bypassing it? No, it doesn't make sense to me at all. I want to see you devour. I want to see you demolish. Okay, I want to see you destroy. And 154 is replete with other warriors on a high caliber, people who are hungry, people who want it. Okay, people who want strap time too, people who are claiming strap season all the way around. Okay, and they all want the spot. So, if you're among them, solidify your place. Solidify your place. I don't know if you got 1 foot in, 1 foot out with this Canelo fight, whatever. And that's just your way of trying to say, hey, y'all, this is the last hoorah and I'm out for the count. I'm done. I'm retiring, going home to my babies and stuff like that. If that's the case, salute and respect to him, if he is on his way out. But if not, let's get this work. I'd love to be a part of it as a fight fan. I'd love to see that. But anyway, for me, I'm satisfied with the fight with Madrimov. Congrats to the King Bud for grabbing a strap, you know what I'm saying, making his presence felt in his debut fight at 54. Definitely big congrats to him. I hope that he takes his time, to recover, enjoy his family time as he intends to do. And I definitely look forward to seeing him coming back and seeing what the next move will be. Anyway, I think I've rambled I think this is the longest video I ever done, y'all. So much to cover and so much to talk about with this card, a fantastic card and a great, great night of boxing we all got. Anyway, that's it for me, y'all. Salute to all the winners. Peace to all my beautiful people. I'm on to the next. Peace.